You're not seeing things. It's me. It's Denzel Snipes, and you are live on the Sports Arena. And I got my crew coming with me. We got a loaded show tonight. We're gonna be holding the fort down. So, shouts out to Eric Wilson, Ray J. Lynn, Megan Price, Ty Ray, and Mike Curtinudo. You did leave one behind, and I'm gonna bring him on right now. He's got a lot of bragging rights as of late, but we're gonna see how long it lasts, though. So come on in here, because I know you got a lot to say. John Shear, Blue Hawks 13.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of bragging rights, but so does the other member of the show tonight. Not you. You have nothing to brag about,
I
but
don't. I'm just
the
here,
other
man.
one has a lot to brag about. I mean, we both do. I mean, 3-0. There's only two members of the 3-0 club.
Yeah, that is true, but I'm making his return to Sideline Sports, the CEO of Gauntlet's Business. You thought he was down, but now he's back. Philly, Jim, James Tatum, get in here, my brother.
Um, well, I would say a comeback, but no disrespect, but I never left anything. So, I don't know how that feels to come back from something.
I hear you. I totally understand. I get it, man. But hey, just getting right to it. So first things first on the list. So we've had some early season injuries, and they've affected teams that were looked at as preseason favorites. And does not playing in a preseason affect this? So basically, what it's asking is how does it affect? How does not playing in the preseason affect the injuries, the lack of reps? John, talk to us. How do you feel about those who kind of sit out the preseason, and then when they get into the rusty or they get injured? Talk to me. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I- I don't put the stock into it where I'm like these games don't matter. I mean, if you play fantasy football, which I mean almost all of us do, the way the players are playing now, it's almost kind of sort of like preseason, so you really can't put too much stock into it and say, well, these guys are sucking. I mean, remember, it's not the same as back in the day where you could hit people during practices. They had a lot more practices, a lot more physical practices during training camp, during the off season, like things like that. It's a little bit different now, and they only have 3 preseason games. These guys really aren't touching the field. They play maybe one series. I mean, what does that really do in preseason when you're out there for 1 or 2 series? It doesn't really do anything. So typically, the first 3 or 4 weeks, you're gonna see play that I'm not gonna it's still NFL football. All the games still counted. All of it still counts, but you also still have to have context to it and say this is sort of like their preseason. So when you get in October, which you're about to, you're going to see the
Mm-hmm.
play ramp up. It's going to be a lot more physical. It's going to be a lot cleaner, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not discrediting anything that's happened the first 3 weeks, but don't put everything like you look at the Eagles and Dolphins. So don't say these guys are going to go 17-0. There's still 14 more games for these teams to play. Still plenty of football. So I'm just kind of taking it 1 week at a time. I know that's cliche, but that's how I feel about it. I'm kind of on the fence. I know it's a Mike Cartenuto type answer. Maybe his spirit's here with us tonight as he's sick as a dog, but
Carrot
I don't know.
top.
I don't put all my eggs in the basket of these teams are the Dolphins are the best team in the NFL, or wow, it's just preseason. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I'm kind of on the
Yeah,
fence about it.
it makes total sense. I think it's a case by case basis because you have people like Dak Prescott who doesn't play in the preseason, but also he's acquired some injuries in the last couple of years. But I mean, there's countless others who don't play in the preseason are just fine. Meanwhile, Tom Brady still plays in the preseason, and he's still whether you
Oh,
want to
he
say
looks
decline
awful.
or whatnot, But
Oh, he looked
but
awful.
well, no. He kind of has, But there's been times he's played in the preseason and he still,
No, I meant
looks very
this
much
year.
like
He
Tom Brady.
looks terrible.
Well, this year, yes.
Yeah.
This year, yeah. He's the defense has been carrying him. We can safely say that. The rest of the year, just like you said, to your point, there's still a lot of football left to be played. So we'll see, how it travels from there. But I'm gonna swing it on over to Philly Jim, man. Give us your thoughts about this, and in particular with your own team. How do you feel about this?
Um, I mean, well, I mean, we haven't been having that many injuries. AJ Brown was missing practice, but that was because personal. His wife is expecting to have another baby, but we're not. What I'm saying is about this topic is a lot of people don't like to have the players playing in the preseason because they're trying to avoid the injuries. That's actually why they're doing it. But people don't understand that when you're in training camp, because they have a lot of teams have joint practices where one team will travel down. This year, the Eagles were practicing in Miami with the Miami Dolphins. So that's an example. And they're saying, we're putting more stock with the joint practices, but even if you're in the joint practices, it's a controlled environment and the coaches can control, what happens and hitting and, everything like that. So it's not on 100% game speed. So I feel like even if you only play one series or two series and the starters come out, that's something that you should do. I mean, just because you're playing the preseason doesn't mean that you have to have all the guys play for the whole time. But I think getting in there and getting reps in a real situation is better for you. And then when you come into the season, you might still be a little bit rusty, but you won't be like you are in terms of being rusty, in terms of your play, in terms of, not being used to that physicality, like John was alluding to. So I think that there is some value in even though the preseason games don't count and most people say they don't matter, which they kind of don't. It's kind of more of an audition for the players that are lower on the depth chart to showcase like their skills as opposed to the starters. But for the starters, it gives you a chance to get back into that game speed after you've been out for the whole offseason and you haven't had it. So I do think there is a little bit of value in the preseason in that regard.
And,
There is. Go ahead, Johnny. I'm sorry.
and also, I because he said something that really made me think. The first time these guys really get hit is week one. They're not really allowed to get hit in the off season. Not really allowed to get hit in training camp, especially QBs. They really don't touch preseason. First time these guys really get hit is week one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why everybody calls it preseason. And the first 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen it. You're going to see a lot of these soft tissue injuries. You're going to see a lot of like hamstring, groin. Like you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to continue to see it and probably until week 5 is when that's probably, I would imagine, get better. But I mean, remember these guys really aren't getting hit. It's not game speed until week 1, week 2, week 3. So it's kind of like their preseason where their bodies are getting used to the full games because you can't replicate that until you're actually in it. You really can't replicate that, and they're not doing the preseason. So you're seeing the hamstrings, you're seeing the groins, you're seeing that type of stuff these first couple weeks. I mean, our guys have a lot of those injuries, a lot of groin and hamstrings right now, and everybody's just kind of working through it. So that's just something that James brought up, and that made me think of. We do see a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to say that they're getting thrown right into the fire. Their first taste of combat is indeed in week 1, but it's not always. And I'm going to allude to your game last Sunday, John. I know you weren't here to talk about it, but I stated on Monday on that episode of Sports Arena that the real MVPs of that game was the Miami defense because they were on the field for 40 minutes and that weather was hot and muggy. Did you see the players when the game ended? They were collapsing. Even on the sidelines, they were splashing water. You got to take it to account. Not every single injury is going to be contact related. There's heat related injuries. That is a very, very real thing. When I was in the military, they always preached on you got to combat against heat related injuries because of the places that we got sent to and everything. The same applies here in football. You're down there in South Florida, and I know they're getting hit right now. Thoughts with the people that's going through it, and hopefully they stay safe with the Hurricane Ian having hit landfall twice now, and also shout out to our guys. Tyler Ingram and Eric Wilson. Hopefully they're staying safe down there. But, you have to take that into consideration is also weather conditions. And that can be very effective as well. You can be in the most tip-top shape, but you can get hit with that heat-related injury, and it is no joke, So, But another point I wanted to put, and I might be crawling down a rabbit hole here. I shouldn't, but I do feel like the preseason does matter. I'm not going to say 100%, but looking at it from a coaching standpoint, and James, you alluded to it. It's essentially an audition. So from a coaching standpoint, it's an evaluation period. Of course, granted, yes, someone has to win a game, some to lose the game. It's not necessarily that. It's like preseason is the time for you to make your mistakes. This is essentially training. You know what I mean? This is the time to make your mistakes, because when we get out there and you face a top contender like a Buffalo or a Kansas City, you have to play damn near flawless ball. So preseason is the time to make your mistakes. But, even further into the question, how do you think it would affect teams that are considered preseason favorites, like Super Bowl favorites? John, kicking it to you.
How does the injuries affect them? I mean, we've already seen it with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they're just decimated by injuries. And every year, one team is that team. Last year was the Ravens. I think the year before was the Niners. Like every year, there's that one team that's they just can't get rid of the injury bug. And it seems like that team's the Buffalo Bills this year, where everything is going wrong, like injury wise, on the defensive side of the ball for them. And it seems like that injury bug isn't going away. It's something that's not really explainable in sports, where that team is just decimated by injuries and it just doesn't go away for that season. So it seems like it's happening to the Bills. It's no excuse for any team, because the cliche is next man up. That's how sports work. You really can't use it because everybody has injuries. But I mean, you still see teams that are preseason favorites hanging on. I mean, the Cowboys, they're not like a preseason favorite to go to the Super Bowl, but their defense is stepping up despite injuries. The
Right.
Bucks have injuries. Their defense is stepping up despite that. The Packers have injuries. They're stepping up. Like, there's teams that are stepping up despite injuries. They're finding ways around it, and that's what you got to do. That's what championship level teams do. Is you win the close games and you overcome the injuries. It's easier said than done, but that's just part of being a championship level team, is being able to overcome the adversity. Otherwise, I mean, you see teams like the Raiders, they have all the talent in the world, but they can't win these games.
Right.
And, I've heard the question so many times this week, well, why can't the Raiders win those games? Well, they're not a championship level team. You can have all the talent in the world. We saw it with the Eagles dream team a couple years ago
Overhyped.
like you can have all the talent you want, but you got, like, there's something to being a championship level team.
Games
When you
aren't
get
won
to
on paper.
adversity, you got to be able to overcome it. So
Yeah, you do have to overcome it. And swinging it over to you, James, and you would know something about it, because just a few short years ago, you guys were down to your like third or fourth string running back, whoever Boston Scott fell on the depth chart. I think he was third. And well, you did win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. So,
Well, we didn't just win
you had Corey
we actually
Clement
didn't.
make a big catch.
We actually didn't win a Super Bowl just with our backup quarterback. We won a Super
True.
Bowl with backup linebacker, backup running back, backup left tackle. We had so many injuries this season. John was saying how teams are decimated. The Eagles were actually decimated when they won the Super Bowl, but they won it anyway because they had the right pieces into place and the depth was good. But in terms of your question, which was, how does this affect teams that are contenders? I don't really see, what's the difference? What's the difference if you're the worst team in the league and you're a contender? If you're not playing with game speed, then you're going to still have problems with injuries. I don't think it matters if you're very good or you're very not. I mean, it probably is still worse for the teams that have, are trying to contend and trying to win and secure the top seeds, because those injuries can haunt them, because you could be having home field advantage and you lose one game in the AFC against the AFC opponent, then you have to go to their place instead of staying in your place. So, I mean, yeah, obviously that affects them in that way. But in terms of overall, I mean, if you don't play, you don't play. And you're going to have injuries and you're going to be dealing with stuff if you don't play at game speed. And I don't think it matters if you're one of the best teams or one of the worst. It's still going to be having the same effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. Well, we're going to run about a 10-second commercial, and we're going to come right back with the sports arena. So stay tuned.
Nice.
And we're live and we are back. Denzel Snizzle here in the house with John Shear and also Philly Jim. And this is the Sports Arena. And we're going to get on to our next topic here. And you mentioned the Raiders and all the talent that they have. So, magic question. And it might be too early to ask, but
It's not too
we'll
early.
go ahead and we'll go ahead and cover it. I mean it's subjective, but could Josh McDaniels be one and done? He did have a head coaching tenure in Denver years and years ago. It didn't work out. Then he went to New England, spent all that time as offensive coordinator. Now he comes to a Raider squad who a lot would say is loaded with talent, and yet they can't seem to get a win. Now, I did mention on the Sports Arena on Monday that all three of their losses are by combined 13 points. However, the other side of me will say, well, good teams still find a way to win. The ball bounces, your way one or two times, but now you have to find a way to close that deal. But I'll swing it on over to John. You think he may be one and done off of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even need to see them play one game to know that he's not a very good head coach. I saw enough last time whenever he was a head coach. I believe it was in Denver, and he was just terrible there. And everybody thought, well, he's coming from Bill Belichick, so he's learned a lot more this time around, and he's gonna be fine. Like, no, I mean, you could slap a lipstick on a pig. He's still a pig. I mean, McDaniels is just not a good head coach. Some coaches are not meant to be head coaches. Look at Hackett. Like, I don't think he's meant to be a head coach. I mean, if you got rid of him right now, I wouldn't think that's breaking news in Denver because I mean, look at the way the guy coaches. I don't think he's fit for the job at all. And I know that's only 3 games into the guy's career, but sometimes when you look at a coach, you just know he doesn't have it. Like we saw that with Vic Fangio in Denver. Coincidence seems to be a Denver thing. Like we saw him in Denver as a head coach, and he just didn't have it. Like some coordinators aren't meant to be coaches, and I don't think McDaniel's is meant to be a head coach. They have so much talent. I don't think the Raiders would be much different if they had too many other guys because, I mean, like there's something about a culture and there's something about having winning ways. And like I said before, you can have all the talent in the world, but Derek Carr is still your quarterback. And I've never believed in Derek Carr as a winner, as a leader. Like he can put up the stats, he can do the Kirk Cousins thing where, hey, I'm going to have great stats, but there's something more to being a leader and a winner than just what you put on the stat sheet. I've never believed in Derek Carr as leading. If I'm a Raiders fan, I never like personally believed in Derek Carr leading the way and this guy could take you to a Super Bowl. I've never believed that. So if your quarterback in today's day and age is not a winner, not a leader, which I don't think Derek Carr is. I don't think he ever was. Then then you really can't go that far. Like we've seen it with the Niners, how they have a pretty good leader in Jimmy Garoppolo, but they couldn't get the deal done because ultimately it's a quarterback league in 2022. Like if you don't have a really good quarterback, you're not winning the Super Bowl. There's not the Trent Dilfer days like just don't exist anymore. So
Right.
I think he's one and done. I mean, I'll be surprised if he even lasts the season. I think this is going to continue with the Raiders. I don't think this is a blip. I just don't think they're a very good football team. I said this going into the year that everybody was like, well, they got Devontae Adams, they got Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones has been terrible. And you have nothing on the back end, nothing in the secondary to be able to cover over the top. You lost your only corner in Casey Hayward, who was really good for you last year, and you replace him with nothing. I said it all off season. You replace him with nothing, and you got to go into the AFC West and the entire AFC where it's loaded, and you're 0-3, and you can't cover the pass to save your life. And for some reason, your pass rush isn't doing anything. I know I had a Mike Cartenuto type rant, but man, there's so much with the Raiders that you could talk about.
Yeah.
That is
It is.
long. That's why I went on that long. But so sorry about that, but there's just so much.
Oh no, you're good. And before I swing it over to Philly Jim, quick question: if they do get rid of Josh McDaniels after the season or sooner, do you feel like, and this might be an obvious question here, but do you feel like that's an indictment on the general manager?
You asking me or James?
Oh, you.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. I thought it was kind of. I thought they kind of did. Rich, how do you say his name? Is it Biseglia? Is that how you say his
Yeah,
name, or
mm-hmm.
however
They
you
should
say
have
his
Bianco,
kept
name?
him.
they
They
should have
should have
kept him.
kept him. Like I felt like he did a pretty good job while thrown
He did really
into
good.
a crappy situation with the John Gruden thing, and he picked up the pieces pretty well. And I thought they did him dirty, and they just went for the sexy hire in McDaniels, who's coming off Bill Belichick's coaching tree, which doesn't typically work out. I thought they did him dirty, and so
Yeah.
this is kind of karma to me.
Yep, probably so. And that actually be actually excellent point. Jim, I'm gonna swing it over to you. Your thoughts on this whole thing? You feel like he could be one and done?
Well, I mean, I know John was, trying to preach to the choir there, and like he's Mike Carrot Top Tenuto, but there's a few things I actually want to touch on that he said. So the first thing has to do with, people thought he was that Bill O'Brien, or not Bill O'Brien, but Josh McDaniels was going to come over from Bill Belichick and do something because he was with Bill Belichick. And also, as you alluded to, the Bill Belichick tree is not good. You have people like Bill O'Brien and Matt Patricia, and these are the guys that are coming from Bill Belichick's coaching tree. Andy Reid actually has the best coaching tree in the NFL, not Bill Belichick. So, I mean, Vrabel, Brian Flores, those are probably two of the only ones that I can say have done pretty well. So, yeah, that was a non-factor. It wasn't really the best hire. They should have kept the other guy. He did a great job. He came from a bad situation, and he got the Raiders into the playoffs, and they got into a playoff game. It was close, so ended up lost to the Bengals, but he did enough, and the players seemed to really support that guy. And it was actually really disappointing to see how they did him dirty like that. So, if the Raiders are going to do this, then they're going to be out of a coach and they're going to be recycling coaches. It just shows that this is the way the organization has been for a long time. I mean, they've been pretty much a joke for many years, and they've been dealing with problems for many years. And then, you got to look at Devontae Adams in the offseason was saying, well, Derek Carr is a Hall of Famer, and or I went from a Hall of Famer with Aaron Rodgers, and now I'm with a Hall of Famer with Derek Carr. Derek Carr, he's not trash. I look at Derek Carr like he's in the same tier with Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott, no, he's not trash, but is he going to be the guy that's going to be making you say, wow, like he just made this play, he just made this throw? No, he's not going to do that. He's just going to not lose games for you necessarily, but he is not going to win games. You're not going to win games because of him.
Right.
So the Raiders, yes, they're 0-3, and I do think that they do need to hit the panic button. You should not be 0-3 with this players that you have that you brought in. So there's definitely a huge problem. And the AFC West, I'm really not impressed. I'm not impressed with the Chargers. I'm not impressed with the Denver Broncos, and I'm definitely not impressed with the Raiders. So I'm not saying that this division is the most loaded division like people were saying, like we were all saying before the season.
We all
Everything
would
on paper was looking good, but Chargers losing 38-10. Herbert, people can say he's injured. It wasn't looking good. You lose 38-10 to the Jaguars. You lose 38-10 to Jaguars. You should not be losing this much to them. You're the much better team. So I'm not looking at the AFC West the same like they're the best division. I'm just not. And if they fire Josh McDaniels after one season, it won't be surprising. But
yeah, I mean, we definitely.
the Raiders organization that they're going to find the right solution, because this is just what they do.
Go ahead, Johnny.
I have a question for James. So, what does it say about the culture in Vegas already that Devontae Adams is frustrated and angry after 3 games? We've already heard reports about how he's frustrated and angry. Now, this is a guy, as you just alluded to, has talked about how he went from one Hall of Famer to another. We saw, and this is not about me, but we saw Tyreek talk up Tua. And both of those guys are backing that up. Like so far, 3 games, those guys are backing up. Tyreek and Tua are backing up. That, all that was said between them two about blah, blah, blah. But we haven't really seen Devontae and Derek Carr back up all the things that was said there. Like the new guys are talking up other guys. We haven't seen it with Devontae, but he's frustrated now. He got what he wanted. He's playing with his guy who played in college with. So how are you frustrated and angry? And what does that say about the culture? Like if your star receiver who got paid, got what he wanted, got to go where he wanted with his buddy, what does that say about the Raiders? Like Please
Well, I
break it
mean,
down for me.
it's like I said. It's like I said when I was talking. The Raiders. They've had like a couple good seasons, but if you look at them for like the last 15 years, they went to the Super Bowl when, ironically, when John Gruden was still the coach. They
That was Callahan.
or they lost to the Buccaneers when Gruden was
Mm-hmm.
there. So yeah, I gotta say it's not really surprising because the Raiders used to be one of those teams where you would see the Raiders on the schedule and you would say, "Oh yeah, that's a win," every single year. So they've actually been having a losing culture for many years. But what it says for Devontae Adams is, yeah, you don't realize everything you have until it's gone. You're
Right.
playing with, and I think Devontae Adams is a great player. I think he's still a great receiver. But, you're playing with Aaron Rodgers. You're playing with arguably he's the best quarterback in the league coming off of 2 MVPs. He's won 4 MVPs. Only Peyton Manning has more MVPs than him, league MVPs, that is. So, yeah, you're saying all this stuff about Derek Carr and hyping him up. I understand why you're doing it, but you can't just do it. You got to actually do it in the games when it matters. So all this stuff about, they were college teammates, blah, blah, blah. You're seeing that all this stuff is not always the best scenario because the chemistry is not on the same level like we expected it to be. So it's actually a big problem. And, even the rest of the players are not playing as well. I thought that not only Devontae Adams would be huge. You saw Hunter Renfrow last season got 1,000 yards. He does not look like he is contributing in the same way, and he's having some fumbling issues too. So I don't know. With the Raiders, if I'm a Raiders fan, then I'm definitely hitting the panic button. No question.
Jay?
Absolutely. No, I agree. I definitely agree. And I was sitting here thinking, this is another leave a great for a best friend moment. We all saw when Kevin Durant left the Warriors to go join his best friend Kyrie Irving, and now you're seeing Devontae Adams leave one great in favor of his best friend. I get friendship and everything, but then there's also a little something called winning. I get it if like things in Green Bay were kind of tumultuous. He's like, hey, I got to get out of here, but it wasn't like that. But he made his decision and he has to live with it. Now, as far as the Raiders go, they haven't won a division literally in 20 years. So they have had this. They've made the playoffs a couple of times, but it has not been a winning culture at all. And the thing about it is, yeah, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. And the way that we view the way that we have viewed the AFC West, it's looking like now, at least to me, that KC's going to pick it up and run away with this division. I said that they were going to send 3 teams to the playoffs. I don't know about that now. There's still more football left to be played. Now, KC did have a bad loss to the Colts, but they've been known to pick it up and get back on track.
The Colts better team.
The main reason the Chiefs lost that game was because of special teams. They had a fake field goal, which has failed miserably. They had a missed field goal and they had a missed extra point.
And Chris Jones also used language he shouldn't use and taunted Matt
the
Ryan.
Chiefs are going to be fine.
Got a 15-yard penalty, which kept the drive alive, and the Colts ultimately went down and scored the game-winning touchdown because that kept the drive alive.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that. It should not be that, especially for a team like the Chiefs. It shouldn't be that many mistakes. I personally felt like they played down to them because we're talking about a Colts team that tied the Texans and got shut out by the Jags. So on one side it's like, okay, there's the unpredictability, but at the same time, you can kind of see how like they played down to them. However, I do reiterate, the Chiefs are known for bouncing back from losses like this. So as of now, I do see them running away with this division. And it's anyone's guess who's the toughest division now. Yeah, I'm a Texans fan. We're the worst division. I get it. That probably won't change for the next 5 years. But as of right now, I don't see the AFC West the same as I did back in April when we did these picks. But we are at the halfway point, so we're going to pay some bills and come right back with the sports arena. Stay tuned. Perfect. And we are back live with the Sports Arena. I am your temporary moderator, Denzel Snipes, out here with Blue Hawks 13, John Shear, and Mr. Philly Jim, the CEO of Gauntlet Business Incorporated. Be on the lookout. And on to our next topic here. And, we're all glad that football's back and everything, but this is Sports Arena. We will cover other sports as well, in particular, baseball. Now, Albert Pujols just hit his 700th home run just last week. And just want to get thoughts about what it means to reach 700, seeing as there's only 4 players in history that have done it. And should he come back and play next year? Now, me personally, I feel no, he shouldn't. He's a multi-time World Series champion. He's a renowned legend in St. Louis, and by reaching 700, I feel like that's his final accomplishment, and he should go ahead and hang it up. And not to mention, they're in the playoffs. They won a division, so they're in. It's not ending just yet, with the regular season. So, but I digress. Johnny Boy, what do you think? Albert Pujols hitting 700, what it means, and should he come back next year?
Yeah, he talked about how he wasn't going to come back. He wasn't going to chase the record if he finished at 698 or 699. He wasn't going to, it's not a record, but he wasn't going to chase that milestone of 700. So if you're talking about how you weren't going to come back anyway, if you were a few shy, I think it's his time to go. Every athlete gets to this point in their career eventually, and he's at that point. You can see he barely moves whenever he runs. Like, he doesn't even run anymore. It's more of like a snail's pace. It takes forever to trot around the bases. It's his time. That's not a knock against him. It's just like every athlete again gets to that point, and it's Albert Pujols' time to go. You're not going to get the Bonds. I mean, if you go another season, I mean, you're going to pass. You're going to pass Hank Aaron eventually. If you keep going, So like, but I think it's his time. Go out gracefully. Maybe you win a World Series this year, maybe, but even if not, like, you've had enough accomplishments where you don't really have anything to prove. So I don't know why you would come back unless you think you can go another couple seasons and chase Bonds down for the fake home run record. Did I
Absolutely.
say something? Huh?
Oh,
Did I say something wrong?
yeah. You said something to somebody. Oh
Oh,
man, if
okay.
Ray J was here. Yeah, you know what? I do agree with you. He has the man has nothing left to prove. You know, and what about 21 years, and I think it's time that he hung it up. He's done enough. But I mean, swinging on over to Philly Jim. How do you think hitting 7 home runs means to himself, the game, and should he come back next season?
In my opinion, I feel like when you're only one of 4 players that has done something like that, then there's not much reason to come back. I mean, you've done it for a long time. You've won all the honors. You've won the World Series. You've done everything. You're a legend. But 42 years old, are you going to come back and still play another season? I think he could if he really wanted to. I mean, like we heard him say before, he wasn't going to come back even if he didn't break the record. So if he's not going to come back, then he's not going to come back. He could. He's only 14 shy behind Babe Ruth. So that would be, I mean, it would be cool to see him pass up Babe Ruth, but passing Hank Aaron, pass Barry Bonds, there's no way that he's going to do it. So if he came for one more year, maybe you have a chance, but I do not think it is going to happen. But still cool to see. Elite company, only 4 guys being able to do it is fantastic.
Yes, indeed. It's always awesome to see, and it's great whenever you can live and witness moments like this. I can only imagine how those back in the day, those before us that witnessed Hank Aaron, hit his record and everything, and to witness something like this, it's just something that you kind of pass on to the younger generation. John, you have children. I'm sure you can converse with them about
Yep.
so whenever they get older and they ask questions and doing what you do and everything, and you can explain what it means to have witnessed something because they will grow older and they will witness greatness with some of these players in NFL, MLB, NBA, what have you, and they'll be able to witness, their own and what. But moving on to the next topic, and that is NBA Media Day. How will the Boston Celtics fare with Ime Udoka gone? Now, you talk about a team that was 2 games away from winning the NBA Finals. And, of course, with the Ime Udoka situation going on right now, he has been suspended for this. I think officially it's indefinitely, definitely the whole 2022-23 season. And they said that they're going to talk further on anything further than that. But as far as the team itself, John, do you feel like the team is going to regress or that they will stay the same?
I mean, it's not like the Eastern Conference is extremely loaded. I mean, there's a lot of really good teams, but there's not a lot of like teams that you're thinking about could get to the finals realistically. I mean, you're only thinking of a couple, thinking of Miami, Philly, um, obviously Boston, I think still Milwaukee. Like you've got a few that you realistically could say, yeah, that team could get to the finals. Other than that, those other teams are pretty good, but I don't think they're those. I don't think your Chicago's or your Cleveland's are at the points, or even Brooklyn are at the point where you're like, yeah, this seems a threat to get to the finals. Like I just don't. So I think Boston still should be fine. They're still going to be top 4 seed. Maybe they'll be like 4 because Milwaukee's going to be back, Philly's going to be back, Miami's going to be back. So they'll be top 4, maybe 4, but I mean, they'll be right in the thick of things. I think they overachieved a little bit last year. It's not to knock them, but I think they overachieved a little bit. But they'll be right in the thick of things. I don't think they're getting back to the finals, but they'll be there. And I think they'll be fine because there is a lot of talent and the culture is, at least on the court, the Boston culture is pretty good. Off the court, not so much. But on the court, they've got the really good culture. For what it's worth, I think it's stupid that he's getting suspended for an entire season. That's just me. Not to go in a different direction, but 2 people do what they do. I don't think that really warrants much of a suspension. That's just my opinion that I really wanted to get out there because I think it's kind of stupid, at least with the facts that we have right now. I think that that's stupid that this guy's getting suspended, even though it's wrong what he did. What you do in your personal time, that's on you. Like you got to live with that. That's just me. I wanted to make sure I got that out there. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Hey, no, you know what? There are a lot of people, including myself, who would agree with you on that one. I mean, like, that's 2 people in their personal time. So you want to suspend that man for an entire season because you want to maintain a culture. Come on now.
Unless like unless one of those 2 people, unless her or him gave somebody some sort of like special privileges or anything of that nature, or there's like blackmail or anything
Mm-hmm.
like wrong and illegal and things like that, I get
Mhm.
that. Like if she's like, hey, I'm gonna, she blackmail or he's like, hey, you get a raise or whatever, or I'll make sure you get this or that. Like, unless there's something like that going on, which I have no idea, really, why are you suspending the guy? Because he
Yeah.
cheated? Like, that doesn't warrant a suspension. That maybe he's a scumbag, but it doesn't warrant a suspension. I don't know. That's not to take this off the side, but if we're
They're
talking
doing
about
it to
this,
prove a point.
I just don't get it, and I think the Celtics are stupid for doing that. And there's already talks I've heard about them maybe not bringing him back. But if you're gonna suspend him, why not just fire him? Like
That's kind
you
of
know what I
where I
mean?
feel like
Like
they're leaning toward. Yeah.
either fire him or don't. But the suspension makes this worse because it's hanging over your organization. So either get rid of him or don't do anything to him. At least in this circumstance, I think it's stupid.
True. No, no, no. I'm with you on that one, and especially since it had come out that I mean, it was consensual, but they were trying to paint her like the victim, like it wasn't consensual, and it's like no, it was totally consensual. But they want to go ahead and punish, him for something. And up looks like we have a guest here. Hang on
Who
one
is
second.
this? Oh, he
Oh, and now
disappeared.
he's gone. And now he's gone. Okay, I think he was actually trying to check. That was Eric. I think he was making sure everything was okay. But let's move on over to Philly Jim. Now, you being a fan of the Sixers over in the same conference, do you feel like the Celtics will stay the same or regress?
Well, number one, I hate the Boston Celtics as a Philadelphia 76ers fan. I'm going to get that out the way. I hate them, and for them to be dealing with drama, it brings joy to my life. That's number one. But as far as this whole situation, no. I mean, when you look in the East, you have a few teams that are considered really good, and then you have teams that are also considered good, like the Nets or whatever, or Cleveland just got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland over there. Going to be interesting to see them, but they're not going to be a threat to do anything. The Celtics and the Sixers and the Heat and the Bucks, those are the teams that's going to be a threat to do anything. So I think it's a shame, because I think the coach is actually a big reason why Boston was having a lot of success, especially defensively. They had one of the best defenses, and that's because he brought like a great defensive mindset to the team. And it was actually the reason that they made it to the finals and went 6 games with Golden State. So, but in terms of regressing, no. I mean, they still have great players. They still have Jason Tatum, who I'm not related to, by the way. So please don't ask me if I'm related to Jason Tatum, unless you want to get smacked in the mouth. But other than that, they still got good players. They still got good players, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like they still have the assistant coaches. They still got the talent on the court. I don't see them dropping no further than two. Number 2 seed. But we'll have to let the season play out. But I do see
Well,
he's
hold on,
got his
hold on.
headset
If you're
on.
saying not dropping further than 2, who are they above? Who's the number 1 seed?
Mm,
Like who are they
the only
beating seeding wise? Because
the
I don't
only
think they're
other
better than Milwaukee, and I don't think they're better than Miami. And Philly got better. So who are they better
mm,
than?
well, let's see. Well, if Chicago, well, no, I'm not going to say Chicago. I'm not. Even if they're healthy, I don't think that Chicago's better than Boston. Miami, I could put up there as number 1 in Boston too. Philly could make a
Stop it.
run
Stop
very
it.
well,
Stop it.
and they could be
No,
a
no, no.
problem.
What you ain't gonna do is let John Shear bully you into saying Miami is number 1. Yeah, that's right. I'm
Thank
taking over
you.
my own damn show. I'm back. Y'all thought y'all could keep me out the paint for the night? No, I see this. I see how this is going down. John
Boxing you
Shear,
out.
take it. Yeah, I know. See, this is what. Guess what, John? I'm boxing you out right now. That's to show you what happens when your boy runs his own damn show. Okay. First off, to my brother, the CEO of Gauntlet Business Incorporated, much love and welcome back, brother. So glad to see you. Denzel, I'm so glad you doing things and running things, because clearly this guy right here, all he want to do is talk Miami, 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 Miami.
Hey,
John,
it's that
stop it.
guy up there.
Stop it.
He's the one that said
Stop it.
Boston's going to be a top 2 seed. So somebody isn't going to be as good as
John,
them.
I still
let
believe
me
they'll be a top 2 seed.
John, let me answer that question for you. You know who's going to be better than your Miami Heat? Okay. And even though he's putting Boston at 2, it's going to be Milwaukee. If Milwaukee is healthy, Milwaukee is the best team in the Eastern Conference. Okay. We already know that. Let's stop it. Stop it. Don't do that.
Not
We
according to
know
First of all,
last year.
Miami.
Miami going to regress just on Jimmy Butler's new hairstyle alone.
Well,
John, Miami is going to be in the top 4. Okay, we know this. So pump the brakes, cause for the pause, and relax. We already know, John. You going from Miami Dolphins to Miami Heat. We
Hey,
get
I
it,
gave you
John.
guys props.
We
I
get
said you
it.
guys are going to be right there too.
Okay, but the top 4 teams right now, in my opinion, who are going to be in the Eastern Conference are definitely going to be Milwaukee, definitely going to be Philadelphia. If, and this is a if Brooklyn can find a way to be together for 1 year, they will be there. And then, yes, John, your Miami Heat. I take nothing away from the additions that Cleveland has made. I take nothing away from what Chicago is on the up and coming rise. I don't. Boston, to me, Because of this situation, which is clearly what the question is about, I think Boston will be a 7 seed. I really
Ooh.
do. I like what Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown have done. They're going to play for their coach, but see, there's too much going on. And see that mental mind game that everybody's going to play on them this season. They coming in with the target on their back. Forget about if Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving can play together for 1 year. Forget about if James Harden and Joel Embiid can be that 1-2 punch that everybody expected them to be. The concentration of media is going to be on Boston this year. So either they thrive or they don't. But John, stop with the Miami stuff, man. I'm tired of
It's
hearing
Denzel's
about it.
fault. He
First of
he put
all,
Boston at a top 2 seed, which I just think is a little bit crazy. And he's the one that egged it on. Like, blame
Yeah,
him
I'm
because
sure. Yeah,
he.
I really believe that Denzel was the one who egged you on. But let me go to my CEO over here
first of
of Gauntlet
all,
Business. Yes,
first of
sir.
all, there ain't no 1-2 punch in Philly. It's a triple threat. Put some respect on Tyrese Maxey's name. That's
I
all I
love
got to
Ty.
say
Oh,
about that.
bruh, hold on. You know what? For the first time ever on the sports arena, two Philly brothers gonna have this conversation. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not.
You saw what he
But
did in the
Max,
playoffs. He was
I
dropping 30
did.
like it's nothing.
But that's the playoffs. I need him to be consistent through the regular season. And
He
what about
was
and
he was like the third player in 3-point percentage. He was one of the
okay?
most improved players in the league. He took a
That
huge.
right, improved players. Now translate that to a regular season and be a main focal point. That's what I'm saying to you. I
But you
believe in
don't think he can
Tyrese
do
Maxey.
that?
No, I'm not saying he can't. I believe in him. But like you, I am our hardest critic. I support us when we are knocking down people left and right. But when we make the simple mistakes, I am one of the first men to come out the gate and say, you know what? What was you thinking? And it's just like our 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles right now. People are looking at me and they're saying to me, how are you not putting Philly a lot higher than some of these other teams? Because I need to see consistency. This is a 17-game schedule. Yeah, we're 3-0. Congratulations. We're winning our division. You and I both know that. Stevie Wonder could see that.
We knew
Ray
that before
Charles
the
could see that.
season. We knew that
Okay,
before the season.
we knew that. But we need to be consistent because when we get into November and we get into December and we get into them January games, especially them last 3 division games, I'm telling you, people gunning for us. We are going to put ourselves in a position to where it's going to be on us to maintain. But if we slip, you and I both know critics are coming hard and fast on us. What did Philly do? Da, 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 da. I'm tired. That's why I say with the Sixers, let's be consistent. Joel Embiid, be Joel Embiid. I already know what you're going to give me. You're going to give me 28 and 11. I'm fine, bruh. Do
If
you.
we're being real, Tyrese was more consistent than James,
Of
especially in the
course he
playoffs.
was. James needed to slim down, stop eating double cheeseburgers. Look, bruh, right there with you. Harden needs to be Harden, but we don't need Harden to be the guy. We got that
No,
guy
we have the
in
guy.
Joel. Tyrese Maxey, yes, he needs to be that third. He needs to be that component. But then what about Matisse Thybulle? Talk to me about him then. I like him too.
I mean, he can't. He's basically useless on the offensive side of the ball. He's a great defender. He can do what he needs to do, get steals and all that. But this guy is wide open consistently, and he can't hit a 3-point shot. So what is he like? The worst version of Ben Simmons? He can't do anything.
All
He
right.
can't do anything.
But I like the two of them together, and I think they can make some noise. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. This is my goddamn show. Let me bring the guys back in here. Cause John falling asleep. Good night, John. We can say that. We can say good night to you right now, bro. I ain't worried about you, man. Denzel, my apologies, brother. It's just sometimes I was fortunate enough. And first off, before I go any further, let me just take a quick moment, really quick, and I will shut up. I promise you. To everybody who has reached out to me today asking if myself and my family are okay because we are in the storm of Hurricane Ian. I appreciate and love each and every one of y'all and thank you because my family is safe. Everybody is doing good. Clearly, you see, I have electricity, which is why I am here on the show tonight. So I wanted to get that out the way. Real talk. So, but oh, James, I have missed you. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I know we've had our differences in the past, brother, but I have missed you. Welcome back. I'm so thankful. I am coming on LinkedIn podcast. Make no mistake about it. We will. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah,
gonna
you
happen.
better.
I will. I will, because we got a lot. We got a lot more to talk about. But please, Denzel, finish up the show. I'm just gonna sit here and shut up now.
You all good, man. Yeah, absolutely. At the beginning, I had to, throw that shout out there. You because Tyler's down there in it too. So I'm grateful. I'm happy that you all are safe. You know what I mean, and that everything gets back up running over there, man. But most
Enough about
importantly,
Eric.
y'all
All
are
right, the
safe. That's cool.
Dolphins play tomorrow night. Come on, like enough about Eric and his boohoo stories. The Dolphins play tomorrow night. Come on, the
Now, see,
Dolphins
here you
play. We
go.
need to
Is
talk
Tua
about
gonna
Now,
play?
this
see, here
team.
you go.
Enough
Is Tua gonna
making it
Joe
play?
about
Burr, go
Philly and
Shiesty.
Eric and blah blah
Uh,
blah. Come
John,
on,
is Tua gonna
like,
play? Is
huh?
he definitely gonna show up
He's
tomorrow?
questionable,
you know
my
what?
man. He's questionable. So
We
it's a
got
big
about.
game.
Listen, if he's questionable, I'm taking Cincinnati, John.
Yeah, I
You,
mean, a lot of Miami starters are very questionable. It's a short week. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of guys out on both sides because Lau Collins is questionable. Like, uh, these short weeks, especially when teams are all banged up like this, are really hard on players. It's not an excuse, but both sides are extremely banged up, and you only get a couple days, especially after you saw the Miami and Buffalo game, 100-degree weather, and then you get a couple days to recover. Like, that's tough. But I'm really excited about like these jerseys, man. Like, if you've seen anything with the Bengals jerseys, what they're wearing tomorrow night,
Fire.
oh my gosh! Like, I don't want the Bengals to win, but my gosh, those jerseys are. Have you seen them, Eric?
The
They
color
are
rush jerseys, yes, sir. I've seen them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
absolutely
I've seen them.
amazing. So I'm excited for the game, though. I think it should be a good game. Personally, if you ask me who's going to win, I think Cincy wins because they need to win more. They're the more desperate team, more backs against the wall. They just got their first win. They started 0-2. It's not how you want to come off of a Super Bowl
Nah.
hangover. Thursday night, you're rocking the uniforms. I think since he comes out of this one, they're a little bit healthier than the Dolphins are. And I think you're going to see a couple key guys of the Dolphins out. You're going to see one or two for the Bengals out. And ultimately, I think Cincy at home is going to feel comfortable, and Joe Mixon will get back on track a little bit because he struggled. So I think Cincy will take this one. As much as that pains me to say, Dolphins have been riding high. They've been kind of riding by the seat of their pants with these past two games. And I think since he gets them,
That's
this
why
is
you
just
can't
a
be
night
King
where
John. That's why you can't be King John
that's
because
just me.
twice now,
You make
two out
me
of
sick.
4 weeks, you went against your team, and yes,
Hey,
He's trying to reverse jinx the whole time.
just
hey,
because you're
look,
first in the sports arena
I'm a
standings.
football. I study the game of football, and I'm honest. I try not to be biased whenever I give my
I'm
analysis.
biased
So
when it comes to Philly. I'm gonna tell you that right
I
now. I'm
think
biased
since
all
he's in
day, every
position
day.
to win this game, and they need it more. That's just me.
I just want Cincy to win. That way, you ain't undefeated. Because when we beat Jacksonville on Sunday, we gonna be the only undefeated team in the NFL, bruh. That's what I'm gonna tell you right now. Congratulations, Trevor Lawrence. You won your little game against the Chargers. Now
Dougie
Doug
Fresh
Peterson,
coming back to Philly.
yeah, Dougie P coming back, gonna see his statue probably for the first time. You gonna get an applause when you come out on the field because of what you were able to do for us. But once that first kickoff go, bruh, we don't see you. We handling business. Okay, that's what we do. All right. Come Monday, the only undefeated team in the NFL at 4-0 will be the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, much love to all of y'all. John, I'm going to see all y'all tomorrow night anyhow, because as long as my electric's running, Alex Webbing's NFL Carousel, Season 3, Week 4, we back at it. I love y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all.
One love, man. Be easy, bro.
Agreed.
Philly Jim, swing it over to you. Your thoughts and your predictions on Miami at Cincinnati tomorrow night.
Well, I'm gonna just bring one thing up since we're talking about the Bengals. I'm going with the Bengals, and I'm super biased when it comes. Since we're talking about being biased, I want to say like it's been good being in sideline sports, and I remember being in the rooms with the Zoom meetings last year covering the Super Bowl. First ever question that I asked was to Joe Burrow, and it was fantastic to see that happen. But I think that John is kind of right, actually, because they do need this game. It is a conference game. It's an AFC game. They started 0-2. They lost the close games by field goals to first division rival, the Steelers. So that was tough to go down 0-1 in the division. And then you have the Cowboys, Cooper Rush out there. They're saying Cooper Rush is a controversy over there. Jerry Jones wants a controversy. I don't know. But it is tough being the Bengals and starting 0-2 when you have this high expectations. So for them to come in and beat the undefeated Dolphins is something that I wanna see because I think it can kickstart a big run for them, and then the Bengals can begin to get back on track and try to get over this little Super Bowl hangover that they seem to have, and they can be the Bengals that people were expecting to see. So I got the Bengals winning a close one.
Most definitely. I can see that. I was conflicted about this one. And one side of me is wanting to go against the grain and pick Miami. Because
Against the
and
grain, even though they're undefeated.
I mean as far as the show, but they were getting to Josh Allen last Sunday. And we all know the Bengals have a worse O-line. If they can get Joe Burrow on that turf 5 or more times, it's a wrap. However, I will say that I think the Dolphins may be a bit hungover from last game because they knocked out, well, not knocked out, but they beat our perennial AFC favorite. But also, I'm in agreement. This is a game that the Bengals need. Something's going to spark in them to say, hey, we're defending AFC champions and we need this game. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ignore that first side of me and I'm going to pick the Bengals, but I do think it will be close. They're going to get to Joe Burrow. Just hopefully not as many times as I'd said. Hopefully they can limit him to being sacked twice, or Burrow can just get out of the pocket, step up in the pocket, do what he has to do. Joe Burrow's got wheels. He needs to use them, But I'm going to say Bengals 27, Dolphins 24. Sounds about right as of right now. So we want to bring everybody back here, and we're in the last 3 minutes of the show. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in to the sports arena. I want to thank Eric for coming on and giving his thoughts, and for
Biggie.
show. Thank you also, Johnny Boy, for being on here with me, helping me out and everything. And hey, around the horn, where can everyone find you? John.
You can find me BlueHawks13 on Twitter. Check out all of our great shows here on the Sideline Sports Network. Shows every single day of the week, including the Gauntlet. What day and time is the Gauntlet now on?
Friday 8 p.m. Switched over from Saturday at 8 p.m. to Friday 8 p.m.
There you go. James, what you got going on?
Oh, where can you find me? You can find me in a lot of places because, obviously, I haven't got to say much for returning to the network, but, I am returning to the network. But to keep it short and sweet, I'm not coming in here to come back. Obviously, I'm going to love doing the Gauntlet and doing the great shows when I can, like Sports Arena, but I'm here to do something. I'm not here to just be talking and talking. I don't do that. I'm here to be great and do something. So I'm going to be making my actions known. I'm going to be making my actions seen by the world. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to put the work in, and everything's going to be the best. I'm going to be the best. Sideline Sports is going to be the best. The Gauntlet is going to be the best. Sports Arena is going to be the best. And that's all it is to it.
Everybody else out there, you heard it here first. We are coming for you. Sideline Sports, Sports Arena Gauntlet, Sideline Sports Show. Everyone else out there, Three Chicks in a Pod, NFL Carousel, NBA Carousel coming soon. We got a lot of great content. Thank everybody for being out there. Shout out to Ty Ray, Ray J. Lynn, Michael Curtinudo, Megan Price. This is the Sports Arena. Thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you Monday night. Peace.
Like this.